Hey everyone, welcome to Crank It Up Podcast, the YouTube home of Brigand Games. I'm Jim Price, designer of Erudia Battle of Birthrights, and today I'm adding another primary to the mod for free, the Kineticists. The Kineticists are an apocryphal class that are inspired by my interpretation of the Evocation School of Magic, emphasis on my interpretation, and they work by channeling the elements to raise their potency and allow for increased interactions accordingly. For a long time this class was called the Evokers, until a few weeks ago when I saw an article on the new Kineticist class in Pathfinder on comicbook.com of all places, and it was the name I was searching for all along. This is an all-offense, go big or go home style class, and they are a lot of fun, and I'm excited to include them in the mod because I keep trying to add magical classes, but they haven't been winning the votes. Just in case anyone is unclear about what the Apocrypha means, it means that these characters and classes are confirmed to exist in the world of Erudia, but aren't as guaranteed to be released as I don't have space for them in the planned narrative. However, they could easily be substituted for two classes that will appear, especially that second class, so never say never. Still, apocryphal classes make for great opportunities for free content, so the Kineticists are skinned based on the actual wizards for obvious reasons. To help with understanding their cards, the relative elements have a duotone color scheme to make it easier to distinguish, as grayscale for everything doesn't work. The only exception are the purple cards where you need to pay attention to the elements carefully, but I'll get to that in a bit. The Kineticists are led by Salon, a reference you probably don't get, and Salon is a very interesting leader to me because she does nothing by herself and could be an engine, but isn't really meant to be. However, if Salon comes in and captures a battlefield out of nowhere, I'm completely fine with this because this class has extreme solo potential, which is important given that they have no antagonism at all. Like I said, all offense. For Salon to trigger, you need elemental units, and then you need to play a spell matching those elemental units. It's easy to see by example. Let's say you play Geb, the Earth Acolyte, and then you play Tremor, which is an Earth spell. By having Geb in play, Salon becomes an Earth unit as well, and because you played an Earth spell, both would get one temporary power. In addition, playing an Earth spell triggers Geb, who has a choice of reactions. This template holds true for each of the four classic elemental acolytes. Either you get an element-specific effect, or you can recur the spell at nightfall. Given the spell chaining that this class can do, recurring spells is really impactful, but if you can boost your spell significantly enough, you need less recursion, so it's a very interesting trade-off each time. To illustrate this in more detail, we can look at their water library. Kenmu's reaction is to move an allied unit to another battlefield, which combines well with the fact that this class needs board presence to spread out. Their water spells are also terminal and largely chainable. You can play Wave to lower the resistance of a battlefield by 2, and Kenmu can move someone there. Salon reacts as well, giving power, and Wave can be chained again with its second copy for another move and more power. Each classic element has a single copy spell that is always usable, but gets boosted by the power of the unit of that element. For water, it's Riptide Rush, which can lower a battlefield by 4, and if you have a water unit, can raise another battlefield by 4 for a turn. This is really important because water movement can lead to a solo at the cost of presence, so it gives them a slight chance to jump on for strategic seconds. Each classical element has similar big plays, designed to correspond to the value proposition of that element. Technically, that should count as the first big play, which Salon can make even more efficient. So it's important to talk about the neutral spells. Their non-elemental spell is Creation, which is important to note that it is a non-elemental spell. However, when played, it gains the elements of all allied units in play, in addition to having a series of basic effects. Creation itself can be a strength, shield, card draw, and healing, and though there are no healing interactions, I swear that this healing has always been super impactful. As a spell, that alone isn't bad, as it couples a few tactics together, but gaining elements is where it really shines. This means triggering each classical acolyte for all their collective effects. It means that Salon comes close to giving +1 power to everyone. But most deceptively, it means triggering Amunet, the light acolyte. While Creation is not a light spell, Amunet turns Creation into a light spell, which means you get a deploy from it. Because this class is extremely unit-centric, this does not have to be a burst play because it can be a sustainable play. Since you can react in the order of your choice, you can deploy the unit, then move them with Kenmu. What I love about the Kineticists is that they have a ton of things that they can do, but you need to consider which units you play carefully. When I move units, I found myself really debating who stays and who goes. It really adds a lot of intrigue to their board presence and managing it carefully. For their final play, we have to talk about their recruits because their recruits are special. The 4 neophytes have the same ability, but differ in qualifiers. Each neophyte has a pair of non-opposing classical elements, which does a number of things. The attack can be impactful, especially as you deploy units and restock your spells, but with Salon in play, the command becomes really impactful. The neophytes can start bending their elements and lending them to other units. For example, if you are lucky enough to have the air-water neophyte and the fire-earth neophyte, the air-water unit can grant air and water to the fire and earth one. When that second neophyte grants them, the next unit would get all 4. This means that all units are in range of getting Salon's boost, which is only once per spell, but what this does is allow neophytes to put other units on the scoring battlefield into range and potentially chain for multiple spells. Also, just by having more elemental units in play, it boosts the effectiveness of those single spells, especially the non-elemental payoff Atomic Storm. Atomic Storm can always deploy a card, even blind, but the more elements you add to the storm, the more certainty you get. In addition, after the first deploy, if you have 4 or more elements, you get a second deploy. It's really fun to have Atomic Storm deploy a neophyte who plays a spell you reordered, then that becomes the 4th element that lets you deploy another card. Some have compared Atomic Storm to water on acid or ninjutsu, in that the more that you put in, the more you get out, and this card can absolutely be an awesome culminating play. With their all-out offensive, the Kineticists have a focused agenda, but they do have the balance space for their secondary and treasury to assist with setting up their plays. The memento is extremely important for them because they are so unit-centric, but so is the Azuran Idol to get the exact element you are looking to boost. I often take the Isados to help me spread out, and to always have a good target for rapid excavation. Given the majority of terminal actions, the Glaive gives them a way to add power non-terminally, while the Tears give them another temporary boost to give them flexibility on finishing off their plays. Some players have taken the Ashes to give them the threat of antagonism, but I personally prefer to just blow past everyone and be more efficient myself. I love magical classes, and I'm excited to finally have one in the mod. It will be an interesting preview of things to come well down the road, because the Kineticists make use of ideas that the narrative classes would normally introduce, and I always love when a class focuses on strong board presence. One of my favorite games involved actually reconning for a neophyte. I can't say how often I've reconned for a recruit, but I did it there, and I had to think about what would be the perfect 2-element combination. It was extremely satisfying, and gives many of their units a unique importance when it comes to fetching. What do you think of the Kineticists? Who will you try with them in the mod? Let me know in the comments. Thanks for watching. Be sure to like and subscribe. Let's shut it down.